And I mean, De Gea never even moved, and it was, well, I've never seen a goal like it in the FA Cup final. Obviously, you know, it's just amazing. Really, seriously is.
It reminds me of the Di Matteo one that he scored for Chelsea. Remember where he just comes on and hits it really well, and it goes down the middle of the goal. But I was saying, because the volley isn't coming across him, normally you'd let that come across and maybe hit with your left foot, but he takes it early with his right foot, and like you said, it hasn't bursted the net, but it's just gone. It's just the direction of it goes right in on the narrow side, top corner. It was an unbelievable technique and volley.
Yeah, can you imagine now? Like, obviously, the Ten Hag saying all these things to them before they go out, and said, you know, come on, boys, like, keep it tight. You know, it's like, don't give the ball away. And 15 seconds later, they're 1-0 down in the final of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
You can't speak, John Duggan. I've never heard you speechless, as it were.
It's just funny. It's just funny. Like, as you say, everything goes out the window. And what I suppose for United now is just try to slow the game down and try and cool it down, because they don't want to be 2-0 down.
Which is difficult, John and Graham, because City are the experts at keeping the ball. And the other thing, you know, when they tee all these FA Cup finals up and people are on the pitch before the game and talking about, well, they nearly scored again, talking about X, Y and Z, nobody ever mentions the fact it's like a cauldron in there. Even more so than New Wembley. It'll be absolutely roasted.
And is the pitch as big as people make out?
Yeah.
Loro, like, I know they always spoke about, you see a lot more players get cramp on cup final day, you see a lot of tired legs, but is it as big, or is it just thrown in the size of the pitch with the occasion as well, and everything, the pre-match stuff and the heat? Yeah,
the latter more than anything, but it was always a case, if you remember, you know, so I can only talk about when you played, but in the 80s, our pitches by the end of April, end of the season, they were just absolute mess. And then when you went to Wembley, it was like a carpet. And our fellas at Liverpool always said, just you do not run with the ball there. You pass the ball. And it really was. It used to suck the energy out of you. And you'd see loads, as you just rightly said, Graham, you see loads of people go down with cramp, etc. But the big thing was you keep the ball. And if you had players who kept the ball and worked the opposition, by about 70 minutes, you could see a massive difference. We won 2 or 3 finals that I'd been in quite late on in the game, and as much as anything, it was because we just kept the ball and worked the opposition.
Yeah, it was Rodri who missed that header, because in '86 in the cup final when you beat Everton, you were 1-0 down at half time, weren't you, Laura, I think?
Yeah, we were. We never started.
Lineker, was it?
Yeah,
Lineker scored. Yeah, Hansen again. Can you think that shot? Disgraceful. And we went in at half time, and I remember, because, as I say, we never really started, and Ronnie Moran, God love him, gave us a coating. And it was just, you know, we all came out, and all of a sudden we thought, we'll sort this. But for the next 15 minutes, we weren't any better, and then it just clicked. And I think once we got on top, we also then got the adrenaline rush, which in the end completely did for Everton.
Yeah. It's very hard for us to kind of talk about our FA Cup memories, Laura, given you've actually won the competition.
Yeah,
but,
it's
the only FA Cup final I think you played in, Laura, wasn't it? Because by the time Wimbledon came around, you were injured.
I'd gone about 3 months before. Yeah. So, but I mean, they were just fantastic occasions. They were absolutely brilliant, and that sort of walk out from the tunnel, you know, 5 minutes before the game started, and you just heard this enormous kind of noise, and wow, I mean, if you weren't nervous, you certainly were. It was the best cure for constipation ever, John, coming out for an FA Cup final, seriously. And you go, oh my God, and that's also when you felt the heat as soon as you came out, and obviously the pitch was good and stuff. But that final that we won, I think I might have bored you with this before, but you know, when we finally got back to our dressing room, and obviously we won the cup, we collected it from the 39 steps, John Buchan and all those kind of things, got into the dressing room, and then Joe Fagan said, come on, get changed. He said, you know, we're off to party, all those kind of things. And we went to get in the bath. It was a massive, big bath, so obviously unhygienic. And when we got in there was 3 Scousers in suits stood in the bath, right? And we knew them all, and they just said, come on in, boys, it's lovely in here. I mean, they'd not just only got in the stadium, they got down, they got past all the security, and they were in our bath. Mad.
See what City are going through, having won the league. You had obviously won the league going into 86. Was there more? Did you feel more pressure or less pressure knowing that we have a chance to do a double, and we're going to take it? Because Liverpool maybe historically hadn't had much FA Cup success. I know they won under Shankly, which was massive for them at the start, but they wouldn't be synonymous.
They never won the double. They'd never won the double. It was your first time. It was the first time Liverpool won the double, wasn't it, in '86? So did you feel that sense like what City are probably feeling now, going maybe chasing a treble?
Well, the thing was that Everton were in a better position than us to win the league, and they had a really, really good side. I think the week before our last game at Stamford Bridge, we basically had to win the league, which we won. And then I just think once you've kind of pocketed that fact that you've won the league, which was always the most difficult thing to win, we kind of, and as I said to you before, we went into this game thinking a little bit like we just need to turn up and we'll beat these. But they were such a good side, Everton, but eventually we got the best of them. But it was. I would have hated to have gone into the final with Everton having won the league. I think that would have been really, really tough.
It's amazing how well Gundogan has finished the season, isn't it, Lara? So, 2 goals against Leeds, 2 goals against Everton, and an assist in the game away to Real Madrid. And he did it last year against Villa in the final day. He's really stood up again.
He has. And by the way, his performances have just been outstanding. And the manager obviously really, really likes him, doesn't he? And it's that kind of almost like that German mentality, passes the ball where he should pass it, always in position, gets you the odd goal, etc. I mean, I listened to him speaking about half an hour ago, he just speaks so much sense as well. And you just get this thing from him that you feel like everything's in control when he's playing for the team, and he makes a massive difference.
Fastest goal in FA Cup final history, 13 seconds is what is officially marked down as Ilkay Gundogan for Manchester City against United. This could be the second leg of a treble, 1-0 at Wembley. There's 9 minutes on the watch.
It might be the most important German to have won the FA Cup if they win with that goal, rather than the goalkeeper who obviously, was it Bert Troutman?
Yeah, 1956.
Yeah, he was Man City as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it was. It was, absolutely as well. So all the papers will have that, won't they?
Yeah, well, Michael Walker did some really good stuff in the Irish Times today about the history. I never knew that Busby played for Manchester City, for example, when he came down to from Scotland, and just the history of the two clubs. And Dennis Law obviously played for both clubs. And
well, Gilesy will tell you, John, that when Busby was at Old Trafford managing and Shanks was at Liverpool, they'd actually have a phone call at the end of the season, and they had this phone call, and it was like, right, how much are you paying your top player? And they came to an agreement which was amazing, which I think was why Johnny in the end cleared off to Leeds, because they offered him a little bit money, like a £5 a week extra. But could you imagine them doing that now, saying, right, you know what's the highest paid player? Well, we're not going to go over that. I mean, that as well was like mad, isn't it?
We'll have to get Gilesy to clarify with Nathan, but it's now all about wine, isn't it? When these Ten Hag and Guardiola meet, it's more the agents will tell you how much they're going to demand the player gets paid.
Exactly.
In a situation with a cup situation. Yeah, it's funny because Ilkay Gundogan, I was actually at Wembley 10 years ago when Bayern played at Dortmund in the Champions League final, and he scored for Dortmund, but they lost the game 2-1. At Wembley, so it's interesting because obviously there's a little bit of personal history.
He seems to be a big game player. The moments or the occasions never faze him. It's like he plays the same way, whether it's a big game or a game with nothing maybe on it. But he seems to turn up in the big moments and stay quite relaxed in them.
Barcelona.
He's very Germanic, isn't he? And I mean that in the nicest possible way. I've just seen him there talking to the referee, and he wasn't ranting and raving with him. He just goes up and has this conversation, and you kind of, whatever you think about referees, everyone runs at them, and they sort of hold on a minute. But he's very, very respectful. He's been brilliant for them, hasn't he?
Wolfsburg won, Barcelona 0 in the Women's Champions League final. So goal there as well in Eindhoven. In the Women's Premier Division here, Bohemians 0, Shamrock Rovers 0 at Delhiman Park. Galway United 0, Shelburne 2. So the Bohemians Rovers game is a full-time result. Galway 0, Shelburne 2 at half-time at Eamon DC Park. In the Football Championship round 2, Kerry 2 points, Cork 1. So Kerry leading by a point down at Porky Queeve. Meath 1-11, Down 1-9, a result from the Taunton Cup at Parnell Park. They were both already through, but Meath going through as winners. Tipperary 17 points, Waterford 1-13, a result from Porky Queeve. Will that win for Tipperary be enough to qualify them for the preliminary quarterfinals? Maybe not. We'll have to wait and see tomorrow. It's Cavan 2 points, Offaly 1-1 at Pearse Park, and Laois 3 points at London, no score at Parnell Park. The Laurie Mara Cup final results: Monaghan beat Lancashire 322 to 320, and the Nicky Rackard Cup final, Donegal 4 points, Wicklow 3. And that's what's going on at the moment. In the golf, Tom McKibben is doing very well at the Porsche European Open. He is 1 shot off the lead with 3 holes of his third round to play, 5 under par. The lead shared on 6 under by Alexander Bjork, Julian Guerrier and John Axelson. And great news for Aidan O'Brien today. He won the Derby for the 9th time at Epsom with Auguste Rodin, partnered by Ryan Moore, and returned at 9-2. Ireland 325 for 7 in the cricket against England. They're probably going to lose, but they're definitely putting up more of a fight than we expected. Laro, does this damage the career of Jose Mourinho, do you think? This nonsense during the week?
Shenanigans, absolutely. Just throw the book at him, John. I think it's just, he's always had that kind of streak of petulance, hasn't he? He's always had it. But now, I think it's a classic thing where he knows his team isn't very, very good, and I think he tried every possible trick underneath the sun to obviously get them to win it. And he'll get another job because somebody will always take him. But he's definitely in sort of. I look at him now and used to think, he was a top manager, and you kind of think, you know what, it might be the time just for you to say thanks, but no thanks now.
He's yesterday's man, isn't he?
Yeah.
Do you think he plays into his image a little bit too much now? Like he becomes nearly a parody of himself with the stuff he does. That's when I'm looking at him thinking all the antics when he was at Chelsea with a successful side were considered like gamesmanship, like the way Ferguson used to have at United. But it's nearly like he's become a parody of that Ferguson at Chelsea. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The other thing as well is he had far better players, didn't he? Yeah, and a bigger budget.
The point I'm trying to make is that he knows his players aren't at that peak or aren't at that level, and the kind of magic of Jose has disappeared somewhat. So, I mean, completely out of order the way he acted. After
what it leads to is disgraceful. Like what the images of in the airport.
That was just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, and his daughter's there and his wife's behind him, and he doesn't know which one to protect.
What are UEFA at? What are the authorities at? There's so much monopoly money and telephone numbers money floating around football every single day. You read the gossip column on the BBC website: 100 million this, 200 million that. Liverpool fans weren't protected at the Champions League final last year. Whether it's UEFA or the police, and now you got a referee. Referee's a controversial final, only for the fans really. I actually thought he did quite a good job. And Mourinho is confronting the car park, calling him a disgrace with profanity and all that kind of thing. Yeah. Feels that he can do that whatever he wants about that. And Roma, their fans at times some of them have not had the best of reputation, and that's definitely fair to say. And there's a febrile atmosphere in the ground in Budapest, and then there's no security from leaving the airport. Like, what the hell's going on is kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely totally right, John. I mean, the very first thing, however competent or incompetent you think the referee, they have to have security. And I think in the Premier League now they meet up somewhere, like maybe 10 miles away, stay in a hotel the night before, get driven in, and then I'm pretty sure when the match finishes, they get picked up and driven back to their cars at the hotels. So basically, they do not see anybody. But it's another classic UEFA, isn't it? You can take the money, but they always take the money, but there's always something wrong at the major events with them.
Yeah, and UEFA throw a lot of money at a lot of things. Like if you run a UEFA event, the money is astronomical, but the disdain they have for the average fan is evident with what you're seeing. Even there's images of the Roma fans getting in 2 by 2 where they scan one ticket and the two of them run through the gate, and there's nobody policing that. It's like, well, it's worked off a scan so that it's basically there's nobody there to monitor it, because that costs money. So if they run it off a scanner, it's obviously less money. You don't have to pay somebody to supervise it. But they just have utter contempt towards the fans. I think UEFA, it's real. We get the corporate money in and we look after them, but the average fan who actually wants to be there to support their team and has followed them all the way through the season, I think they look down on them a little bit.
Do you think this will be a game?
The Champions League final last year with Liverpool. And now people say, it's always Liverpool. It's always Liverpool, but that was horrendous. Really, seriously was. And people in wheelchairs getting squeezed and everything. It was just ridiculous. And the French straight away said, "Oh no, it wasn't. It was Liverpool. It was their fault." Yada yada yada. And of course, lo and behold, it wasn't.
Yeah, they ultimately had to admit that, didn't they? Like for example, next season, could you see Jurgen Klopp running towards a fourth official? Like, I mean, is this a game? Is this a game changer though, or is this just going to be forgotten about like everything else is always forgotten about?
I'll be forgotten about. And I think. I mean, obviously, Klopp's one of the leaders in it, and running to the fourth official. I think and it's wrong, John, but it's spur of the moment, isn't it? It is one of those things, and it's very, very difficult to stop somebody doing it, most certainly. I think now, I thought they might have had a rule by now where they mic up the referees. So, if you swear when you go to see them, you get a yellow or whatever it was. And I think that would stop the surrounding of the referees, the very first thing. But as much as we love football, it just gets a bit tiresome now where there's a decision and all of a sudden there's 16 players converging on the referee and all have got something to say. And I would say just, the captains can go and speak to them, nobody else.
Like rugby, yeah, like rugby.
Yeah. And after a week, when, there'll be loads of people get booked, the managers will be going, what the hell? Just, let the captain go there and try and sort out the problem if you think that there is a problem.
Let's get an update now from the Gaelic football. Cork are playing Kerry at Denna Porky Queeve in the All-Ireland Football Championship. What's going on? James O'Donoghue.
Hey John, very, very enjoyable game here. End to end. There's not much shape to the game. It's kind of both sides have their full forward lines and everyone else is kind of just operating around the middle, so it's very interesting. And it's attack for attack. The only difference so far, and it's 6 points 3 to Kerry, is that Kerry are a little bit more clinical. Cork have kicked 2 balls into keepers' hands. They've had a couple of sloppy wides and just misplaced passes. So both sides are really up for the game, both playing quite well, just Cork not as clinical. But we said before the game, how would Shawnee Shea come out and play after maybe a disappointing game against Mayo? He's kicked 3 already. Paddy Clifford has a point, David Clifford has a point. So when Kerry are moving the ball fast, they look to be putting Cork under pressure. I just see Shawnee winding up another shot here, and it's curling. It's a beaut. Another point for Shawnee Shea, so another point for him. It's 7 points 3 to Kerry. Very enjoyable game, but wide open.
Very good. Thanks so much, James O'Donoghue down at Porky Queeve. We'll keep you up to speed on that. Manchester City won Manchester United 0 in the FA Cup final after 20 minutes. The fastest goal in the history of a cup final, possibly ever in a major final anywhere. 13 seconds. Ilkay Gundogan for Manchester City. Mark Lawrenson and Graham Gartland are watching. Dan and Johnny are at a wedding, by the way, this week. That's why they're not here. So
new co-host JD.
Yeah.
Johnny Ward struggling to get this seat back. Lauro.
Yeah.
Have they married each other?
No, they haven't, Lara. And I knew Lara you'd come out with something like that.
They'd be fighting over the speech.
Yeah. But no, they're at a wedding today. So if anybody's wonder where they are, that they're enjoying the sun and they're enjoying a really good day out at a friend's wedding. So Erling Haaland, by the way.
I presume it's the same wedding.
Yes, yeah, it is the same.
All right, okay.
Dan and Johnny, good friends. Erling Haaland just missed a big chance there. Big chance.
He did brilliantly, John, because he held it up and he held people off. And I think there's about 3 almost converging on him, so it was a decent chance. Certainly, probably should have hit the target at least.
Yeah,
it's probably one of the things that his shots from outside the box wouldn't be the strongest, would it?
He kind of scuffs the ball at times. Yeah. Even when he takes a penalty, sometimes you don't feel it's the best shot, but it always seems to go in.
If he has got it, it's probably his shots from distances wouldn't be the ones where you go, right, I back him here, Yeah.
The problem is his brain's so far from his feet, isn't it? Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah. But City look to be on top in this.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with them, as I said before, is they don't panic whatever the score is anyway, and they will just keep the ball, and they hurt you. There's a real chance here, by the way.
Yeah, you're a bit ahead of us there, Lara. You got one of these.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
One of these streams.
I'm sounding like I know something about it then, aren't I? That's good.
Yeah, that is good. So Lara, your team of the season, we asked you to do a bit of homework here. Your Premier League. So what? John Giles had a very interesting team.
John, how dare you ask me to do homework, for goodness sake.
I know.
Right, so my team of the season is, shall I go from back to front?
Go from goalkeeper on, yeah.
So I've gone for Pope.
Right.
Not the Polish Pope, obviously the famous Polish Pope. And I would say, I mean, they've nicked him, didn't they? They nick him for 10 million quid or something.
Yeah, it was a tough decision.
Which is a steal. And big, strong, very, very much early in the season, he was, well, they didn't concede any goals for a long, long time. And I think playing in front of him gave you loads and loads of confidence. And from the same team, I put Trippier in at right back.
Right.
And if you watch him play, he's almost playing like a right wing back. And I think you knew everything about him within the first week when he went to Newcastle, where Eddie Howe made him captain, didn't he? So, and you'd obviously seen him play at Atletico, etc., which helped. And then the left back, I put Zinchenko, because I know he missed one or two games before the end of the season, but he was one of the very first to come in and play in this box in midfield, and it made such a difference. And his passing was absolute quality. That's why I've gone for him. And then my two centre backs are Martinez, who I absolutely love because he just wants to kill everybody. And I know he's another one who got injured late, but he's been brilliant for Manchester United. And I played him alongside Diaz. Right. It's just the game's too easy for him. So that's me back four. And then I've got Rodri in front of them, basically bossing everyone. And we know his strengths, he's big and he's strong, but he's got great feet as well, picks a pass out. And then I've got his mate De Bruyne in front of him who can just go and play anywhere. A bit like when you're a kid at school where the best player just went and played all over the place. And then I've got sort of three behind Haaland. Haaland's at the front for obvious reasons. And I've shoehorned Harry Kane into there because I think, he's such a good goal scorer and he's in such an awful team as well, but he still scores for fun. And then the two wide players I've gone for are Saka on the right and Martinelli on the left. And one of them, here we go. Sorry, boys, you better watch the telly.
They scored again.
No, it's a replay. Sorry. Different angle. It looked for a moment like it was a different goal. I've not had a drink. So I've gone for Martinelli and Saka. They scored loads of goals, but also they're absolutely full of pace, the two of them, and they provided loads of goals for the team. So that's who I've gone for.
So who your centre half, Diaz and
Martinez.
Lisandro Martinez. So
yeah. Sorry, Martinez. Yeah.
Okay. So
he just wants to tackle everybody. I love that.
You only have 4 Manchester City players in that team.
I know.
Yeah.
So Malaro's team of the season, Premier League team of the season: Pope and goal, Trippier, Martinez, Diaz and Zinchenko, Rodri and then De Bruyne, Saka, Kane, Martinelli and Erling Haaland up front. It's still 1-0 to Manchester City, by the way. Laro has got a screen that is ahead of ours on the radio here, and we are watching the TV, but he's got one of these, obviously the UK, maybe he's got a better feed or whatever, but he was watching
maybe
a replay.
Maybe got a better telly, John.
Travels quicker. Travels quicker in the UK.
We know you're a very rich man, Laro. So.
Oh yeah, of course I am.
Graham Gartland, what did you go for?
I went for Alisson in goal. I think he probably had more to do than Pope, but he's probably been the outstanding goalkeeper this season. The only other one that has performed better than him stats wise is actually Raya off Brentford. He's had the most saves and his save percentage is higher with 77%. I've gone Trippier at right back. He's played every game. He's the most chances created from set pieces, and his passes into the box are the highest, and he's 138 successful crosses, which is the most for right back this season. I've actually gone with the 2 City centre backs, the best defensive record in the league, along with Newcastle. So I've gone with Diaz, which is his win percentage is the highest, it's 85%, but you can see the 33 goals this season, more than half of them have been when he hasn't been in the side. So I've gone for stats here. Loro's just gone for, he likes Martinez kicking people, so that's why he's gone with that one.
Absolutely.
So Akanji, who's come in this season, I think City have been struggling for a centre back to play beside Diaz for a while. Stones has obviously gone into midfield a little bit. Akanji's worth 24 out of 29 games he's played in. The 9 games he didn't play, the only won 4. So I think what he brings to the team is, alongside Diaz, is just consistency. I've actually gone with 2 Brighton players in my team.
Is it Estupiñán, is it?
Yeah, Estupiñán. He's the most tackled and the most crosses from a left back this season. I like Shaw. I thought Shaw had a decent season, and I agree with the left back off Arsenal, the Zinchenko. Yeah. I think he started the season unbelievably well, but I just thought the tail end of the season, when they probably needed him more, I would have liked to see him maybe step up and be a little bit calmer in the situation when they were chasing. Rodri in midfield has to be in. I think people talk about De Bruyne being so good, and he's in the team as well, but I think Rodri's the one that feeds De Bruyne, and again his pass percentage is the highest, but he's won the most battles in terms of winning the ball back between him and Declan Rice as a sit midfielder this year, so I've gone with him. Odegaard is in it. I'm going to play with a diamond in the midfield for my 4, so I'm playing with Odegaard, De Bruyne at the top of it, and I've put McAllister in from Brighton. He's played 35 games, he's got 10 goals from midfield, but the kicker in this is he's won a World Cup in between all that, and he was excellent in this,
good point, yeah.
In the 6 out of 7 games I think that Argentina played, he came in. And Haaland up front with Kane. To be honest with you, I just played the 2 of them as a front 2 because their record is ridiculous. 36 goals, a Premier League record. Youngest player with consecutive hat-tricks for Haaland. He broke every record, and for his debut season it's phenomenal. And then with Kane, he scored 30 goals. 26 of the goals is in different games, which is a record, a joint record with himself and Andy Cole. 10 headed goals, which is a record as well. And also he's covered the most ground, which is 395 kilometres by any other striker this season. So it's not just that
most of them were running backwards to about the defence.
Yeah, but it's like you said, so it's not just that he's standing up there getting tap-ins. He's actually working hard for his team, and as a captain, I think when you have a team as dominant as City, it's hard not to have more of them in it. Like Walker probably would be one that you go, well, he could probably be in it as well. But he's probably been conservative a little bit this year, Walker, in terms of getting forward. But I don't know, like Grealish has had a good season, you see him on the screen there, but the other lads, you have to, obviously spread around a little bit as well. Arsenal had a good season for them as well.
Yeah, the Akanji fella, he doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah.
He's a proper player and just does his job. There's no frills about it, but he's very, very good indeed.
We're just checking a penalty here in the FA Cup final. Manchester City leading Manchester United by 1-0, and Jack Grealish could be the culprit here. The referee's gone to check the monitor. So wait.
The arm does go up, John, on the second.
Yeah.
See the one when it's got. I don't like when when they say a natural position. I had this discussion with people. I don't
penalty to Manchester United. Laura, don't say anything because we'll all be out of sync if you say something. So.
Okay.
But yeah, Manchester City 1, Manchester United 0. Jack Grealish penalised, and 30 minutes in the watch. Remember, Ilkay Gundogan put City into the lead after.
Put me homework away, JD.
13 seconds. Yeah.
I was.
The only thing is, JD, is that he was actually in mid-air, wasn't he, Grealish? I don't know whether that's good or bad. It's like, and if you're jumping in mid-air, you're not quite sure where you're going to land. And I think sometimes you do put your arms out because you're thinking, crikey. But
see the one, you got a penalty recently. The one when it's going over your head, Laura, as a defender, and you're jumping backwards to head it, hoping to just flick it on. It's a stretch. You're hoping to just get a glance on it, but either arm will come out. So if it's going over my head, my left arm will come out. If it's going from over my head, you're nearly going with that. You hope, because it's a protection thing as well. Because if you don't jump, and you're trying to get your height, if I just miss the ball and it lands on my arm, that's a natural position for my arm to be in for that action. It's the same when you're sprinting and your arm is up and you're sprinting and the ball hits it. It's a natural position.
Yeah.
The only issue with that is as it's going over his arm, it heads it back and it catches.
Bruno Fernandes has placed the ball on the spot. Manchester City 1, Manchester United 0 in the FA Cup final. 32 minutes on the watch. Can he beat the goalkeeper here? So Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United to draw them level in the cup final. And he puts it the wrong way. The goalkeeper into the back of the net, beats Ortega. Bruno Fernandes has scored. Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1 in the cup final. His 14th goal of the season.
Isn't that the first goal that the goalkeeper's conceded in the FA Cup this season?
The City were only 2 teams in history, Laura, before today hadn't gone through an FA Cup season and been unbeaten in terms of conceding goals.
Who was that?
Do you know who they are, Laura?
No.
I'll tell you, one of them are your own, Preston, from the 1880s, and the other team are...
They only played 8-10 games, didn't they?
Yeah. So they won the double, I think, in 1889, and they didn't concede a goal. And the other team were Bury in the early 20th century. So
Laura, was that it?
Yeah. I was ball boy.
So Bruno Fernandes stepped up and set the goalkeeper the wrong way, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, he just reverses. He does his little couple of steps and then waits for the keeper. Keeper goes a little bit early, just reverses it into the far side. So
it's a strange one because City were cruising, Laro, and now they're not.
Yeah. I just looked again at the penalty they showed. Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, good game now, isn't it?
Yeah. So just to recap on your Premier League teams of the season, Mark Lawrenson went for Pope, Trippier, Martinez, Diaz and Zinchenko, Rodri, De Bruyne, Saka, Kane, Martinelli and Haaland. And Graham, you went for Alisson in goal, Trippier, Diaz, Akanji and Estupiñán, Rodri in the diamond with Odegaard, De Bruyne and McAllister, Haaland and Kane.
Yeah, I put Kane in there, but his season's ridiculous. Like, you, as a Spurs man,
30 goals in a terrible team.
Yeah, but it's like, again, he's impacted 26 different games he's scored in, so he's given his team a chance nearly in every game, and 10 headed goals, which is a record as well. But the bit that stood out to me was the ground he covered. You know, when people say you need, like, I know it gets a lot of stick when you need your leader to stand up for Spurs and etc, and where's your captain when things don't go well. But you can, by that stat alone, you can tell he's trying. I don't know if you ever watch the game and think we need more out of Kane here, or he needs to rally them, or he needs to say something. Well, you're a Spurs man, but
Kane is a world class footballer, and I've looked enough to see him a couple of times this season in the flesh, and there's no difference or no comparison rather between watching a player on TV and watching a player live. And I think it's incredible. He's a 9.5, like my shoe size. He plays both a 10 role and a 9 role, and he does it incredibly well. And he's a brilliant instinct for the goal.
Yeah.
So I think if Man United get him, I think it could be a game changer for them.
Seen in the paper Real Madrid. He favoured Real Madrid. Somewhere I read this morning.
Really?
Yeah, he said he favoured Real Madrid. That's where he'd rather go.
We need to take a break. Mark Lawrenson and Graham Gartland on Football Saturday. Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1 in the FA Cup final. We're back after this.
Off the ball on News Talk. The Pat Kenny Show.
I wonder, would the same media have a frenzy around Leonardo DiCaprio and his young relationships?
But the wider context of this is one of the contributory factors, in that it was in the enclosed space of a television station where the more powerful older man certainly could have an influence on how the young man was promoted.
The Pat Kenny Show.
With Aviva Insurance.
Weekdays at 9 a.m. on News Talk. Conversation that counts.
InsureMyVan.ie. Hi, I'm Ken Doherty. For all van drivers and business owners, InsureMyVan.ie is Ireland's low-cost van and commercial insurance specialist. For high-quality van and all commercial insurances, call InsureMyVan.ie.
City Financial Marketing Group Limited, trading as InsureMyVan.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Guaranteed Irish business members like Peninsula continue to sustain jobs and communities across Ireland. Peninsula is committed to delivering professional excellence in HR and employment law services. With over 25 years of supporting businesses all over Ireland, Peninsula's approach tailors HR services specifically for your needs. Success starts here. Visit peninsulaireland.com or call 1-800-719029 to schedule your complimentary HR consultation. So look out for the G. Guaranteed Irish. Altogether better.
This week at Power City, check out our mega deals on Bosch, Neff, Dyson, Samsung and LG. For more information, go online to powercity.ie or call in store today.
Now I can hear myself think. And I like what's happened at Chapters with Arboretum. Through the door and it's still Chapters. Miles and miles of new and second-hand books at fantastic prices. And up the stairs, it's Arboretum. Indoor plants, everything you need for city gardening, irresistible food and coffee. It's like your man said, if you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need. Visit us today. Arboretum Urban Green at Chapters Bookstore, Parnell Street.
Share, stream, download and connect more with Ireland's best value 5G prepay offer on Air Mobile. For just €20 top-up, you can get no limits data, unlimited calls, unlimited texts and 5G at no extra cost, meaning you can connect faster, stronger and better than before. Now that's a no-brainer. To switch to Air Mobile, go in store or visit air.ie. Subject to €20 top-up every 28 days. Fair usage applies. For full terms, see air.ie.
The calm of knowing you're getting a great deal. Purchase your new Citroën Electric before the end of July and get 3 years servicing, 1 year road tax and free home charger installation. Plus, the calm of the Citroën 8-year battery and 5-year car warranty. Available now across the entire Citroën fully electric car range, including EC4 and all new EC4X. Experience the power of calm with Citroën. Terms and conditions apply. Visit citroen.ie. Nothing moves us like Citroën.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us what. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €10.5 million. Play responsibly in store, in app, or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Witness greatness live from the players you love with Sky Sports from Virgin Media. Virgin Media customers get an exclusive front row seat to unmissable moments by adding Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports for just €30 a month for 6 months. That's better than half price. Be part of every game with Virgin Media. It's playtime.
6-month offer, €74 a month after offer. T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie.
Off the Ball. This is News Talk.
And welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you 3 to 5 on Football Saturday with Graham Gartland in studio and Mark Lawrenson on the line. 1-1 between Manchester City and United in the FA Cup final. 40 minutes on the watch. Ilkay Gundogan scoring after 13 seconds for City, but Bruno Fernandes has equalised from the penalty spot. In sports news today, Aidan O'Brien has won the Epsom Derby with Augusta Rodin. The 9-2 shot ridden by Ryan Moore. Ireland now in the third and the test at Lords. 337 for 7. Ireland trailing by 15 runs. So they're putting up a fight back on day 3. In the Camogie Championship, Group 1, down 3 points, Clare 4 points, and it's Antrim 1-3, Limerick 2 points. The Nicky Rackard Cup final, latest score, Donegal 2-8, Wicklow 10 points. The Laurie Mark Cup final was won by Monaghan. They beat Lancashire 322 to 320. In the Tailteann Cup, Meath 111, down 1-9, a result. Tipperary 17 points, Waterford 113. These are latest scores to hand. Cavan 111, Offaly 1-4, and Laois 111, London 5 points. But the big game of the afternoon is down at Porky Queeve. Cork against Kerry in the Football Championship round 2. I believe they reached half time, James O'Donoghue.
Yeah, it's 9-5 at the moment to Kerry. Very enjoyable first 20 minutes, and then you can tell the heat just kind of got to the players. The pace of the game completely dropped and players started getting their breath a bit. A lot of hand passing, a lot of kind of slow play after or for the last 10 or 15 minutes of the half, but very enjoyable. Cork have come out and they've really tried their best to go at Kerry as much as they can. The only thing that seems to be showing is Kerry's physicality at the back. They've had some huge turnovers around their D and just outside that, where Cork are kind of hand passing, looking pushing for a way through, and Kerry are getting huge bodies in the way, like Gavin White and Jack Barry, and turning Cork over and going the other way. It's been very clinical by Kerry. I think most of their shots have gone over, whereas Cork have had some really poor efforts where they've created chances and they've got into really kickable positions. It would have given them a huge boost after working so hard to get the shots off, and they've just dribbled wide or dribbled into the keeper or just gone high and wide. So I would say it's an excellent game. Kerry up 9-5 at the moment. What Cork can improve on is they have to be more clinical in front of goal. Even if they have to buy a free or go further and closer into the goal and fist it over, they can't waste their attacks by kicking them wide or short. Kerry just need to keep doing what they're doing, and there is chances for goals on the break when they play fast. So at the moment it's 9-5, enjoyable game, but Kerry still in control.
Who's playing well for Kerry then, James?
I just wrote down here, top performers really all came from the first 20 minutes. I thought Shawnee Shea was excellent, he got 3 from play. Paddy Clifford's been very good as always, he got 2, and Jack Barry and Gavin White in defence have been really strong. And then from Cork, Brian O'Driscoll in the half forward line for Cork has carried a lot of ball, and the one chance he got to swing it over, he took his chance, and that really did show a good bit of leadership. Powder's been good getting up and down. I just wonder how long he has in the legs of that, because there is going to be a time where he's up the field and Kerry get one of those big tackles in, and if Kerry can transition the ball while Powder's cut out of position, there will be a goal chance there. But I mean, there's a lot of football to be played here. If Cork can come out and get a goal early, we could be in for a great second half. And any maybe personnel changes or tactical switches you might anticipate? I mean, as we said before the game, Cork do have a great option off the bench in Stephen Sherlock. You know, they're struggling. They miss some bad chances to Chris Oak-Jones and Colin McCallan. Stephen Sherlock rarely misses. He is a shooter out the gate. He will take his chances. So he'll be a great man for Cork to get on the field. For Kerry, if I was Tony Brosnan sitting on the bench, I'd be licking my lips, because this game is wide open. There's loads of bodies between, say, the 265s, and after that there is just space inside the 265. So I think that Tony will be licking his lips for Kerry, and I think that Stephen Sherlock can definitely come on and make a difference for Cork. Thanks so much, James O'Donoghue there at Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Kerry 9 points, Cork 5 at half time at Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Laura, seems to be a few incidents in the FA Cup final. 1-1. United had a chance there. Was it Wan-Bissaka? No, it wasn't. That was it wasn't a particularly easy one. It's gone up a notch. The pace of the game's gone up, John, completely, and I think City have been driving it, but in fairness to United, they're repelling everything that City are throwing at them at the moment. Yeah, they're not good in the replays here. They keep on showing replays of incidents that happened in the game, as opposed more so than actually what's going on live, Graham. Yeah, it's like we're watching it here, and then they're flicking back to obviously the penalty incident, and then they're showing a penalty incident that City are probably looking to see, can they get De Bruyne runs into Fred. Fred just puts his leg across him, but there's not enough contact for a penalty. I think Silva has a kick out at Shaw as well, so it's sort of getting a little bit fiery. City are playing well without maybe playing at a really high tempo. You'd expect them to maybe up the tempo of their passing and their movement a little bit, and if they do, then their possession stats are good at 60%, but they're probably not hurting them, like Lauro said. I picked my team. I picked the players that I felt had an impact this season. And then I listened to like the legends like John Giles and yourself, Laura, and then I kind of maybe I made a few mistakes here, but and that was why you didn't mention my team there. You just went, I listened to Laura and Gilesy, but not you, Graham. That was hurtful. As your co-host today, JD, I know, I found that very hurtful. Well, we'll have I'll be in a headlock after the show. I went for Alisson in goal, Trippier, Stones, Saliba and Ake, Rodri, De Bruyne and Odegaard. And I went for Saka, Haaland and Grealish. Saka, Haaland and Grealish? You left Kane out? I left Kane out, yeah. Why? Yeah. Spurs bias? I think I'm looking for players who made an impact around the season, and you can pick Mo Salah, for example, and you could easily make an argument for him this time, but I'm just looking at players who made an impact this season. I think Saka made a real impact on Arsenal's early title charge. I think he's a fantastic talent, and I think Grealish kept Phil Foden out of the team, and that's no mean feat. Phil Foden, one of the best players in England, so the fact that Grealish kept him out of the team and has been so strong in City's run, I think sometimes you need to look at the top two, and who were the defining teams of the season for me was City and Arsenal. Yeah. So I'm not surprised you not put your mate in, Harry.
Yeah. No, Harry's a legend, but maybe I should have.
What was your midfield?
Rodri, De Bruyne and Odegaard. Once again, it's where do you play them?
Yeah, I mean, with them three as well.
Like Odegaard, maybe, and De Bruyne are too similar to have on a.
But Stones didn't really play a lot. He played as a midfielder.
At times, yeah. But I think he made a big impact as well. There's definitely some players I felt on the fringes of certain clubs that really played well, lads. I think Matoma is a real talent.
Yeah.
I like Eze from Palace.
Yeah.
Brennan Johnson. I really.
Rashford had a better season than he did. Really good start to the season. Yeah, Fernandes, that's his 16th goal. You said, was it? 15.
I think it was 14th goal this season.
14th goal this season.
It was interesting that even David Connolly last week picked Rico Henry as his left back. He thinks he's had a great season, for Brentford. But
Brentford goalkeeper would be the one maybe that could. But he's put all his stats are saying he had a really good year, but he's probably, like you said, Ottman off Newcastle now. He's won the centre back.
Both of them.
He's because the Brentford thing is interesting, isn't it? It's all based on Midtjylland, isn't that how it all started?
Yeah, I coincidence, we were in Finland for a tournament with an underage team that I'd be involved in, and we spoke to Midtjylland. We played them in the final over there. Really good game, but it's off a guy. He wrote The Goldmine Effect is the name of the book. Anderson, I think, is his name, and he's building a new school. So he's building a $30 million euro school, and it's to house athletes and it's the education and all that stuff, but it's built off the stats and like a Moneyball type of thing, but how you identify talent and how you bring talent through. But that's he wrote the book, and then he went and bought Midtjylland, and he's going to try and implement this plan at Midtjylland. But Brentford got rid of all their youth teams and all that stuff and decided to go with a non-academy way and then just recruit at the right age, and it seems to be working for them.
Yeah, I mean, they made some fab signings, haven't they? Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and he's done a good job. I think he's done a really good job, the manager there. He's been excellent. He's gone under the radar, Do
you know the best thing about that as well was, Graham, when I think they lost somewhere recently. Did they get beat 4, which was unusual? They gave him a new contract the next day, the board.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Proper management was like, look, we know which direction you're going and how well you're doing for us. Here's some more money, and you just, when you hear him speak, it's just loads of common sense, isn't it? Loads of it. And, they're big and they're strong, and they're very, very technical as well.
And they can be direct. I think they mixed the game up well. Like you said, the keeper, Raya, had probably more long passes than any other keeper in the division, but they were accurate. That was the thing, that hit in certain areas where they know they can. You've seen that in the Liverpool game actually very early on. They were very direct against Liverpool, but they got success out of it. So they're doing things. They're obviously the people who analyse the games are recognising what they have.
Arman Mazaku, who I believe won the penalty from Grealish, has now received a yellow card for a foul on Grealish. So there's a little bit of an edge there on the left hand side for.
It wasn't that bad, John, to be honest with you. Grealish saw it coming and tried to get out of the way, and he just looked like he caught his feet or his toes or something. But of course, it was the classic surrounding of the referee at 1-1. And
can I ask a question as well? Why is it that Fernandes, who would generally dive, is the first to go to players claiming that they dived? And you're like, you dive more than anyone else.
Personality, isn't it?
And you're like, but then you're the one calling other people out.
Yeah. It's 1-1 Man City, Man United, 49 minutes, so we 4 minutes of stoppage time. De Bruyne about to take this free kick. So it was Gundogan who put City in front after 13 seconds, the fastest goal ever in an FA Cup final, and United equalising through Bruno Fernandes later in the half from the penalty spot. Barcelona 0, Wolfsburg 2 in the Women's Champions League final in Eindhoven. That is the latest score. And full time, Bohemians 0, Shamrock Rovers 0 at Dalyman Park in the Women's Premier Division. It is Shelbourne 2, Galway United 0 after 89 minutes at Eamon Deasy Park. Actually, that's just gone full time. That's what's going on there. It's half time's gone, isn't it? Half time whistle is gone.
Just now. I tell you what, Man United will be more pleased than City. City scoring so early, couldn't quite get a second one. Bruno Fernandes here on the pitch is just moaning at the referee on the way out, Mr. Whinger. But United have come back. They've come back quite strongly as well. I mean, City still look at the better team, but you're looking at them thinking, we should be 2 or 3-0 up here. So fair play to Manchester United.
Yeah, who's the Ronnie Moran in the dressing room today?
But did Dalglish say much in '86? I know he was obviously player manager. I know he's not. He wouldn't be a big talker, would he, Dalglish? But
no.
Would he have said much back then?
No, it was left to Ronnie. But I mean, Ronnie he'd always been the chief barker anyway. So I always felt sorry for fullbacks who played for Liverpool, because for one half, right in front of the dugout, was an absolute nightmare. The ball will be coming to them. They get 5 different shouts of where it should go. But no, Ronnie was. I mean, Kenny could be vicious if he wanted to with his words, but we really didn't that particular year. We didn't get too many frolicking. I don't think, but Kenny would give Ronnie the freedom, the red dot to go and do it. Yeah.
And Dalglish didn't come on in that final. He scored the winner at Stamford Bridge for the double, didn't he?
Yeah.
He scored for the league, sorry, but he didn't come on in that final.
Do you know, I can't remember.
We'll get on to Wikipedia. Was it a strange one for the players to, he's your mate, he's your teammate, and then he's suddenly the player manager? Was there a distance put immediately between Kenny? How did it work?
John, he just cut you off straight away. Absolutely straight away. So himself, myself, Hansen, Whelan all lived very close to each other, took it in turns to drive in, sometimes Gary Gillespie as well. And of course, once he got the job, that was all gone. And in his first season, it was after Heysel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I'd had my operation on my shoulder, and they said to me that, you can't train or anything yet. You've got at least 2 weeks. So I got invited over to Dublin to one of the kids' camps, for a few quid for a couple of days. And I said to him, like at least a week before, I said, I can't do anything for a while. He said, yeah, okay. Anyway, he found out where I'd gone, rung my missus, who then rung where I was staying, and she said, you need to go home. To get home, he's going absolutely berserk. So got a flight back, went to see him, and I said, what's the problem? He said, you could have walked round. And I went, yeah, but I'm not supposed to be doing anything. He said, you could have walked. And I think he just wanted to make the point that, A, I hadn't asked him, and B, the fact that, I should be with everybody else still in the team. So, but listen, he could go mad at you, absolutely call you all the names under the sun. But you know what? And me and Hansen had this with him all the time, and it was a case of, we tried to get the ball from the back to front for him, to kind of bend it in round a few players, and sometimes it didn't get it quite right, and he'd deal with it, and then he'd turn around and he'd just slaughter you, and you'd walk off the pitch having won, and he just it was the way that it was, and it just became acceptable at the end. If you got a rollicking from him, normally there was a good reason, but at the end of the game, if you'd won, it was like, well done, boys. Right. But there was, and the other thing as well with somebody like that, just massive respect, because he was. Well, for me, he was just the best player I'd ever played with. It was just brilliant.
Mark Lawrenson and Graham Gartland on Football Saturday. Got to take a break for news. We're back after this.
Follow at Newstalk FM on TikTok for the latest news, reports and trends from our presenters and reporters. Newstalk. Conversation that counts.
Shrink your bill this bank holiday at Dunnes Stores with 20% off bottles of wine and champagne like Whispering Angel, 19 Crimes and Villa Maria Sauvignon Blanc. Or cool off and indulge with Ferrero Rocher and Raffaello ice creams. Packs of 4, only €5. Plus, with our 10 off 50 grocery vouchers, you save even more. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used next grocery shop of €50 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol. Please drink sensibly.
Design driven by impulse. Performance in tune with your emotions. An instant connection. Electric. At Cupra, we believe in galvanizing these instincts. It's why the Cupra Born, our 100% electric model, looks, feels and behaves unlike anything else on the road. Start seeing what's possible and go full electric with the Cupra Born. Act on your impulse. Test drive today, own it tomorrow. Search Cupra Official.
The future is yours for the taking when you become one of the 8,000 students across the island of Ireland studying with the Open University. Join the experts in distance learning on one of many internationally recognised degrees and skills-based short courses. And suddenly, your options are thrown wide open. Search OU Ireland to find out more. The Open University. The future is open.
It's big, it's got everything, and it's open now.
Forget the drama. Relax at one of our award-winning plazas. You can make the perfect pit stop at the N17 Plaza, Kinnegad Plaza, the Portlaoise Plaza, the Barack Obama Plaza, Tipperary Town Plaza, the N20 Mallow Plaza, and the Galway Plaza. With Supermax, Papa John's, Super Subs, Bewley's Barista and Spar, there's something for everyone at the plaza. An ideal stop on your journey.
Who are you when you're at work? What face do your colleagues see day to day?
How's it going?
I'm great, Jarrah. All good. Yourself?
Grand.
Because while on the outside everything might appear fine, inside you could be feeling quite distressed. Like you're always juggling, regularly overwhelmed by work, upset by little things, constantly exhausted. If work is adding too much stress to your life, it never works to hide it. Get a better understanding of workplace stress, its symptoms and solutions at hsa.ie. A message from the Health and Safety Authority.
Urban Aran make vibrant, soft merino knitwear right here in Ireland. It looks great. This is radio, so you just have to trust us. They send their pieces all over Ireland, and they save up to €76 on parcel labels with their An Post Commerce Advantage card. It gives great discounts to your business. It also looks pretty great. Get your Advantage card at onpost.com/Advantage card to save on every stamp you stick and every parcel you send. An Post Commerce, a world closer. T's and C's apply.
Samsung, appliances you can rely on. Discover the cordless vacuum cleaner range from Samsung with a full 100-day money-back guarantee and 5-year warranty on selected models. To find out more, go online to powercity.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Lunchtime Live.
What's your experience of the pet-friendly offering across the country at the minute?
The barman there had a restricted breed dog behind the bar. The dog urinated on the carpet and I was aghast, and we had to go and tell the barman that his dog had done it, you know, in front of everybody. It wasn't funny, and he came down with just tissue paper.
Lunchtime Live with Andrea Gilligan. Weekdays at midday on News Talk. Conversation that counts. On 106 to 108 FM, on the News Talk app, powered by Go Loud and smart speakers. This is News Talk.
It's 4 o'clock. I'm Lindsay Dolan. Good afternoon. The Taoiseach Micheál Martin has expressed his deepest sympathy to the people in India after yesterday's devastating rail crash. At least 280 people have been killed and 900 injured in the tragic collision around 130 miles southwest of Kolkata. Naveen Patnaik, the Chief Minister of Odisha where it happened, said rescue teams are trying to find passengers trapped in the wreckage.
I'm deeply distressed by this extremely tragic train accident. I have to thank the local people.
E-cigarette technology was marvelled at when first released, according to one respiratory consultant. It comes as the Health Minister plans to ban the sale of vaping products for under-18s this summer. Emmett O'Brien has been outlining vapes' rise in popularity, particularly with smokers planning to quit as they've less chemicals than cigarettes. Dr O'Brien, who's also chair of Ash Ireland, says 50% of smokers eventually die from long-term smoking.
Initially, people marvelled at the technology and how vapes work. The coil that heats up to 300-400 degrees Celsius immediately vaporizes the liquid that's attached to it, and you can inhale that. Vapes and e-cigarettes don't contain tar, and they don't contain things like carbon monoxide, and they have less chemicals than cigarettes. A typical cigarette has 7,000 chemicals, many of which are obviously very toxic, and we know that 1 in 2 smokers who pick up a cigarette will eventually die from long-term smoking. Gardaí
are appealing for witnesses to a fatal crash in Offaly. A man in his 30s died when the car he was driving crashed into a wall near Tullamore Golf Club at about 5:10 this morning. A technical exam is currently taking taking place, with the road expected to remain closed for a number of hours. Finally, Gardaí are examining claims that South Dublin residents demanded to be paid €225,000 to not object to a local housing development. The neighbours wrote a letter to the developer outlining their requests, but were refused, according to the Irish Independent. The developer instead referred the incident to the Garda Fraud Squad. Fionn Sheehan, Ireland editor with the Irish Independent, said the residents live in quite an affluent part of Dublin.
These are people in very reputable positions. We've got a senior executive in a fairly prestigious firm, director of an international company, member of a state board even. And the area they live in, €1 million houses are very common.
That's your news at 4:02.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Best birthday present ever. Give a Ryanair gift card.
Mostly sunny today, although patchy cloud will bubble up at times this afternoon and evening, with highs of 18 to 24 degrees, mildest in the west and southwest, but cooler near the Irish Sea. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
And you are welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you as always until 5. This is Football Saturday. You can text us 53106, tweet us at Off the Ball. We're streaming the conversation as well. You can listen on News Talk and also watch us on the Off the Ball digital and social channels for Twitter at Off the Ball, YouTube and on Facebook. We also podcast the show every week on Off the Ball on our section of the Go Loud Network. It's also available wherever you get your pods if you ever missed the live broadcast here on News Talk. Joined on the line by the former Republic of Ireland and Liverpool defender Mark Lawrenson, who's watching the FA Cup final. Manchester City won, Manchester United won, and in studio is the ex-League of Ireland and FAI Cup winner and current Shamrock Rovers under-15s coach Graham Gartland. Just to bring you up to date on what's going on in terms of sport, the Women's Champions League final, Wolfsburg 2-0 up away to Barcelona. Well, it's not away, is it? They're the second in terms of the alphabet and the names, but it's in Eindhoven, this neutral game. Bohemians 0, Shamrock Rovers 0 full-time in the Women's Premier Division, Denman Park. Galway United beaten 2-0 by Shelburne in Galway. Kerry lead Cork 10 points to 8 at Porky Queeve in the Football Championship round 2, so Cork will have the deficit at Porky Queeve in the second half. Meath 1-11 down 1-9 in the Talton Cup round 3 at Parnell Park, a result. Tipperary 17, Waterford 1-3 a full-time, 1-13 a full-time, so 1 point win for Tipperary. It's Cavan 1-14, Offaly 1-8, Laois 11 points, London 1-6. These are latest scores. Mickey Rackard Cup final, Donegal 2-8, Wicklow 10. In the Camogie Championship Group 1 half-time, down 7 points, Clare 10 points, and Antrim 1-9, Limerick 7 points after 40 minutes in Dunloy. And we have the cricket. Ireland are 356 for 8 now in their second innings, trailing England by 4 runs with 2 wickets remaining, so this could be over quite soon. But Ireland have showed a lot of pride today and they've done really well. Great day for Aidan O'Brien and Ballymore, Coolmore, Ballydoyle, Coolmore, getting Ballydoyle and Coolmore mixed up. It's Ballymore's Sean Mulryan, isn't it? So Aidan O'Brien and August Rodan, the horse he trained, won the Epsom Derby 9-2 shot. Ryan Moore in the saddle, and you could see the delight after the race by the connections at Epsom, because with Galileo having now passed away, this could be a horse of the future for stud August Rodan. The 9th Derby win for Aidan O'Brien. What an incredible achievement. One of our greatest ever sports stars. European Open in Hamburg, Tom McKibben shot out a 1 under round of 72. He's in a tie for the lead now on 6 under par. Tom McKibben's birdied the last hole. This is brilliant stuff. Tom McKibben, he's like a young lad, early 20s, bidding to win his first ever European Tour event. He's just birdied the last 6 under par. McKibben in a share of the lead going into the final round with John Axelsen of Denmark, Alexander Bjork, Julien Guerrier and Jordan Smith. It's going to be a shootout tomorrow in Hamburg. Brilliant to see it. The Republic of Ireland squad was announced during the week, Graham, by Stephen Kenny, the manager. We got Greece on Friday week in Athens, and then we have Gibraltar 3 days later in Dublin. So Jack Taylor's in, Darragh Lenihan's in, Liam Scales is in, Ogbenny's injured, Robbie Brady, Shane Duffy, Conor Howard and Enda Stevens not included as well. Any kind of takeaways from you in terms of what the squad is and how we're doing?
I think it's a massive game. It's probably one of the biggest games in the group. I know that France and obviously Holland are massive games, but you're not expected to maybe beat them. I think if you go and get a result in Greece, it gives you a chance to maybe aim for second spot and try and get, whether it's a playoff or not. I think this is the games where Stephen will probably be judged most harshly in how he goes about his business and how he sets up to play against Greece away from home and what they can produce. we've struggled under Stephen's reign to maybe win games that you'd expect them to go and get result in. We put in a very good spirited performance against France in the game, but these are the games that we're judging where we're in around the same level as Greece, and can we go there and get result and really make a marker? You asked me off, like, was I a fan? I worked under Stephen. I know him pretty well. You want to see any Ireland manager doing well. You want to see any coach doing well when you're a coach in the game. I wouldn't begrudge anybody's success. He's trying to implement a new way of playing. It's difficult at times because everybody just wants to see Ireland win, and we're starved a little bit of success. We want to be successful. How we do that is what he's trying to change. You know, the back against the wall and coming out fighting. Sometimes that's easy to see an effort from fans to go, look at them trying, they're throwing their body in front of the ball. I think they still need that against the ball, but I think with the ball they're putting in as much effort to try and score goals and play the right way as they are when maybe they are giving up 60% possession to opposition. I think now we're trying to implement a way that the generations coming underneath that can try and play in and be proud of playing in as well. But it's a tough group. We've said that before, but if you can get 6 points out of the Greece-Gibraltar games over the Friday, the Monday, it'd go a long way to appeasing a lot of people.
Ferguson's now in as the main man. It's funny, a year on, Evan Ferguson's in there now. He's got to be the guy, hasn't he?
Yeah, rightly so. We've every time we're on here, I think Johnny Ward gets all excited about him. He loves him. But the simple fact is, he's the striker, most informed striker playing at the highest level that he possibly can. Only for his stats in terms of an Irish player's playing the Premiership, it would have been really, really low.
So how do we incorporate him into the Irish team now? Like Ogbene's injured, and how does that work down with Ferguson, do you think?
I don't know. Again, you need bodies around. He can do a lot, Evan. He can hold the ball up. He's quick enough to run a channel as well, but you can't just isolate him and bang it up to him and hope that he needs bodies around him. What Brighton do well is they get runners around him that when he does drop in, people do run beyond him. Do Ireland have players to do that? Jay McGrath's in the side from Dundee United. He's gone back to Wigan. He was with them. I think there might be a move coming for him in the summer as well. He didn't have a great season. Dundee United got ultimately relegated from the SPL, but can they get bodies around him that are willing to run beyond him, but also link with him, that if he is coming short, there's runners beyond, but if he's the one that's given length in the game and he does run into an inside right and inside channel, that these lads have to make the box.
Would Mikey Johnston be a type of...
Yeah, Mikey Johnston coming in off that side can play 1-2s room and also get to the end line. And like I said, Evan he's good. He's really good at a lot of things, Evan, and his movement in the box is really good for such a young player. But if you can get deliveries in, but where Ireland playing sort of a 3-4-3 at times, the inside rights and the inside left players have to be linking with him, and again recognising that if he is coming short, they need to be the length in the game. Who can do that? Ogbene done it really well against France, but he done it really in a defensive way, minding Mbappe on that side. But can he be more adventurous against Greece?
Is there a worry that the Championship players have not played for weeks now?
Maybe, yeah. I think they probably, and the Championship is grueling. You're going Tuesday, Saturday. You don't get a lot of rest, so I think the rest might actually do them good as well here, JD. And most players now, they probably take a week to 10 days break and then they're straight back into conditioning again.
We had this Bristol camp and we go to Turkey next week.
So I would listen, if I had been back when Loro's going to Ireland for weekend jollies with a bad shoulder, I think you'd be more worried about them. But I think now they're probably looking after themselves a little bit better, and they know that the games are coming up, so they're all like Liam Scales coming in gives them a lot of options, because obviously he can play left side of a centre back, he can play left wing back as well, so he gives you them options to play. And Darragh Lennon coming in for Shane Duffy just hasn't played enough. And in fairness to Stephen Kenny, he said at the start he was going to pick players that are playing games.
Playing for Middlesbrough.
Yeah, he's done really well for Middlesbrough this year under Michael Carrick.
Yeah, and obviously Josh Cullen has had a good season, John Egan's had a good season. The goalkeepers,
but they're still high level goalkeepers. Like, there's still Premiership goalkeepers that are playing at a really high level, and they're probably like, I don't think goalkeeping is the issue for Ireland.
What is the issue?
I think sometimes because we're so expansive, or we're trying to play expansive football at times, but I don't think you can have. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Like, you see, like, and I'm comparing them to Man City is a bit of an anomaly. So say Newcastle, for example. Newcastle try and play in the right way as well, but defensively they're really solid. I think you can have both, and I think by the way, I think you can have both in game. There's times that you're gonna have open play, and we're gonna be a counter-attacking side because we're under the cosh a little bit. So now all of a sudden we have 10 minutes of being a counter-attacking team, or we have a bit more control of the game. Right, we're going to be a possession-based team. That can fluctuate in the 90 minutes, and I sometimes think we get caught out in that, where, oh no, we have to play this way because the game will determine sometimes what you need to do, and I think that will come with more experience with the young players in the side. And there's times we've all been there as players where we're under the cosh here.
So sometimes it's Brazil 1970 or Barcelona, and then sometimes it's blood and thunder and crosses into the box and physicality.
Yeah, and the game sometimes will determine what's needed for your team. I think sometimes we can be a little bit open when we give away possession, or especially in possession in air, when our build-up phase, one pass and all of a sudden they're getting shots away on goal, where I think positionally can we be a little bit better in that phase, that if there is a mistake that happens, we recover a little bit quicker. So again, I think because we're trying to play an open brand of football, which is great for Ireland, it doesn't mean we can just go, well, we don't need to defend that well. All the great teams have a trigger that, right, it's time to defend, and Mark will touch on it as well. Liverpool played some great football, but defensively they were solid, and most of the teams that are successful have that.
We need a statement win, though. We need to...
Yeah. That's the Greece one.
We can't be like I think the issue with the Ireland team and the frustration, the people who like to see good football. Oh, Laura, he's done it again.
He's done it again I think it was from a free kick, a foul on De Bruyne. It's come quite a long way, and he's hit it. Gundogan left foot. I think it looked a bit like a shinner at first, but it's crept in the net, which is the most important thing for City.
City 2, Manchester United 1 in the FA Cup final. 51 minutes on the watch. He scored after 13 seconds, and now he has scored again. Ilkay Gundogan, the man for the big occasion, and he is really proving that today.
Loves a goal at Wembley as well, doesn't he? You said he scored for Dortmund there. Let's see, I haven't seen it.
This is from a corner.
Yeah. Was it a corner, not a free kick?
Straight in. No, it might have been a free kick. I don't see the angle here, Laura, but outside the box, and kind of a strange shot, and it kind of maybe got a deflection.
It's a shinner.
Yeah, it's like a golf. It's like a cricket spin bowling googly.
He's moved his feet really well, hasn't he? But he's kicked it down, obviously, and it's bounced. Yeah. But the guy looks like he hasn't seen it.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah,
he definitely not seen it. He's 2 or 3 of his own defenders in front of him, and he obviously doesn't react till later because he just cannot see it. But it just looks a poor goal to concede, obviously.
Yeah, from outside the box, it was just kind of like curled or spun between a wall of bodies and into the bottom corner of the net. Yeah, so
like the Cantona goal. Well, it's not similar. Cantona goal that he scored against Liverpool in 95 or 94, I think, or 95 it was.
I always wonder about this sometimes, like with teams conceding at the start or at the start of the second half, is there a flaw there in terms of the way they're prepared? Because it happened at the start of the first half, it's happened at the start of the second half. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they just come out.
Well, you just knock off. You only need a couple to knock off, don't you? I mean, that was I think that was a free kick because De Bruyne was injured. It looked like it was near the corner flag, but it's come an awful long way yet again, hasn't it?
Yeah. We're speaking about goalkeepers in the Irish situation there, Lara. Caoimhín Kelleher, Stephen Kenny's kind of intimated that he probably will be leaving Liverpool in the summer. For the young lad, like he's not getting any younger. He needs first team football, doesn't he?
He does. He wasn't good, was he, last week at Southampton? He actually looked really, really rusty. But as you rightly say, John, he needs to play. I wonder whether because they're obviously trying to buy players, etc. Liverpool, and they're talking about him being 20 odd million quid, whether they might just sell him rather than just let him go out on loan somewhere. That'd be an interesting one, most definitely. But you just saw him last week, and you kind of thought, you need to be playing. Wherever it is, you just need to be playing.
It's also, like you said, Alisson, like other than the COVID year where I know his father died and he struggled on personal reasons, like he doesn't really do doesn't make consecutive mistakes. He made the odd mistake from playing out at times, but what game? The Man City game springs to mind, actually, where he made a mistake. Or was it Madrid? They were 2-0 up and he made a mistake in that
Madrid.
one. Yeah, it was Madrid, sorry.
Yeah.
I had too many balls, but it was that one. But again, he has such trust in him, doesn't he, Klopp? And he
has to play though. I mean, even I know he's had a challenging season at times, but Bazunu would have learned so much from playing that season for Southampton.
Oh yeah, unbelievably. And Bazunu was at the Rovers game last night, but it's that experience of playing. And I remember having a small conversation with Gavin at the tail end of last season, and I was saying what was the difference in the step up from the different leagues, and he says the finishing. He says the finishing from strikers is you get a chance to get set lower down in the divisions. Well, obviously he was on loan at Portsmouth. He says you're getting a chance to get set a lot more. He says the one touch finishing in the higher level you go up in the Premiership, he says it just comes at you so much quicker. He says that they're set to finish before you get set as a goalkeeper. He says it nearly becomes instinctive. He says so now they're working on a lot of, and I think that the stats show that a lot of the finishing in the box is off one touch finishes, so the keepers aren't getting a chance to get set. They have to move across the goal really quick. So it was an interesting take, because obviously we don't understand what it's like in goal to face shots, but it was an interesting take from Gavin that the finishing is quicker, it's a lot more accurate, and it's a lot more one touch.
Okay, Graham Gartland and Mark Lawrenson on Football Saturday. We have another update on the way, and we will go now live to Porky Queeve and James O'Donoghue. What is happening, Kerry Cork?
Great start to the second half from Cork, John, and it's just their great start has just been punctured by a difficult to accept refereeing decision for Cork. Paul Ganey had the ball, he was running through on goal, there was a couple of Cork defenders back and he was dragged down. He was outside the square, but Goff has decided that it was a goal scoring chance for Kerry and he awarded the penalty. The chance came along in the first place because Powter actually got turned over in the middle of the field, and it was him trying to get back to eradicate his own mistake. He's fouled him, he's gotten a black card, given away a penalty, and Clifford has slotted it. So at that stage Cork were, after coming out of from half time, all guns blazing. Hurley had got a free, he got another mark, Powter got a point himself, they were turning Kerry over. Kieran O'Hanlon got a great score after a great break after winning a kick out. Everything was going in Cork's favour. It was 10-9 to Kerry, but Cork were really coming, and then that penalty incident has put Cork down to 14 men, and now they're 5 down, 1-12 to 10 points to Kerry. But this game just needs to settle a bit, and Cork need to go back at it, because they really did make that charge in Championship quarter with the first 10 or 15 minutes after the half-time whistle. Powter has just come back on, but at the moment Kerry lead by 5, 1-12 to 10.
Sounds exciting. James O'Donoghue down there at Porky Queeve, thank you very much. They've got a new guy in the back room there, Laro, Jörg Schmatke, if I can pronounce his name correctly. I think he's a pal of Klopp's, but he's the new is it Michael Edwards? Was that the name?
Yeah. They've lost quite a few staff, John, you know.
Liverpool.
Some very, very important guys there who's left. Michael Edwards, as you rightly said, because when you look under Klopp's reign, the recruitment has been really, really good. I mean, I've said this to you before, that, you know, nearly all the players that he's bought, whether you think they were really good when they came to him, he's made them all better. And so they were very much on top of the job. So just be interesting to see now exactly what happens. And of course, it's a big summer for recruitment, where I think, you know, it would seem at the moment that they've got a couple lined up, but not quite got over the line. Midfield players, I'm told. So
McAllister.
We shall see.
Yeah, Alexis McAllister's been linked heavily with Liverpool in the summer.
The recruitment has struggled probably. This is probably the one season that Núñez has been good, but he hasn't had the gains that maybe when Klopp first came in and he took Firmino, put him as a striker. Obviously Rodgers had signed him off the left, and then Salah comes in, and obviously the talk around him that he didn't do it at Chelsea, he's not going to cut it in the Premiership. He's been unbelievable for Klopp's Liverpool. Mane off Southampton's been fantastic. So all of them had this jump when they came to Liverpool, where Núñez was probably more effective playing for Benfica than he has been for Liverpool. And Gakpo has showed bits where you think, especially in the Manchester United game, the 7-0, where you think, right, there's a player there. So it'd be interesting to see how they do next season, after obviously Núñez having a full season with Anfield, and then Gakpo having 6 months. So I think this summer would be big for Liverpool, but it was like we used to come on and talk about Man United getting a sit midfielder, and then they go and get Casemiro, and you see them obviously drastically improve with that, and it's an obvious one for Liverpool that you get sick mentioning, is they need midfielders.
Three completely new midfield. Obviously Milner's gone to Brighton, hasn't he? He's leaving. Max Verstappen is on pole for the Spanish Grand Prix, so the more things change, the more they stay the same. Carlos Sainz second on the grid, then Ferrari, Lando Norris third, Pierre Gasly fourth, Lewis Hamilton fifth. In Gaelic games updates, we have obviously the Kerry Cork game we've updated you on there with James. It is now in the Tailteann Cup. Cavan 119, Offaly 1-8, and Laois 114, London 2-11. So they're level at Parnell Park. In the Nicky Rackard Cup final, Donegal 2-12, Wicklow 117. In the Camogie, it's Down 1-9, Clare 12 points, and Antrim 113, Limerick 14 points. And fair play to Barcelona, they've equalised. Barcelona 2, Wolfsburg 2 now in the Women's Champions League final in Eindhoven. That is what's going on. I know you like watching Leeds, Laro, so Big Sam, he failed. He didn't keep them up, so they're going to be looking for somebody new. I wonder, will they go for the Gerrard, Rodgers type, or maybe a young, kind of a Rob Edwards type, I wonder, in the Championship?
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? I'm not sure, John, is the honest answer to that. I don't think Stephen will get that job. I'm not even sure if he's really interested in it. And also, hasn't one of the guys one of the Italian boys on the board at Leeds, he's trying to buy Sampdoria, isn't he? Yeah. So, and apparently he's putting up the stand or the ground as
he's leveraged it.
Yeah. So I don't know what that's all about. I think with the right obviously with the right manager, but the right recruitment for them, I think they'll come up. I think they'll come straight back.
Right.
I think that to be honest with you, and I see quite a lot of Championship football, as you know, with Preston, it was actually a very, very, very weak league last year, and it was the time to come up, and I don't see it being too different this time round, to be sure.
Yeah,
I think it suits somebody like Rodgers to go, and like you said, it's not that strong a league as Laro said, but to go and actually go and play football, similar to when he went to Celtic, where he's going to have a bigger budget than most because of the balloon payments with the Premier League coming down. Company done it with Burnley this year, went and played a really good brand of football, got them straight back up, but they'd had 5 years of being in the Premiership, so they had obviously balloon payments for that. I think it's somebody, now Rodgers might think, well, I should walk straight into a Premiership job after the work he's done, but Leeds is a massive club. I don't think when people realise how big Leeds is, it's massive. It's such a big city. I lived in Barnsley, and Leeds was huge, and we went down to watch games in Ellen Road. It's unbelievable, and it's the only, obviously Sheffield has 2 clubs, but Leeds, it's only Leeds, and it's a massive club, and I think somebody like Rodgers could really grab it, but they need to go back to find an identity. To go from Belsa to Big Sam in a season.
Jesse Marsh as well.
Yeah, Jesse Marsh, Belsa in a season. You're like, well, what's your trajectory here?
Well, I mean, the football has gone so crazy with the Wild West capitalism of it, that you have mad owners in terms of their decision making, and like Chelsea being the classic example of that, and Leeds being another example of to be fair, like Everton's has been so badly run, but they did make one good call in getting Sean Dyche in there, Laro, and kept them up.
No, absolutely, and he did a really, really good job. And even last week, on the Sunday, he was very, very calm about it all, but it's been coming for a long, long time with Everton. I wouldn't know exactly, John, but we've been talking about recruitment before, head of recruitment. They've had about 3 or 4 in possibly 5 or 6 years. Well, I mean, how on earth can that possibly work? Well, it can't work, can it? And then the actual owner is having his say also. So they've just been an absolute mess. And I'm told they're having to try and borrow the money to finish off the stadium, which I suppose is not unusual, but they were absolutely having to win last week to get into this new stadium. Otherwise, they would have been in serious trouble. And we talk about, finances and stuff. I'm told Sheffield United are in a real mess, even though they've been promoted. And you look at what Luton are there in the Championship as well, aren't they? So it's just so interesting with football, isn't it? But as the money gets...
Sorry, Laura, but the clubs are like, you see it all the time, and you can see it now sort of creeping into Irish football. Businesses are looking at clubs as investments now, and they know that we can purchase that for maybe whatever they go in and say Sheffield United. It might be, a cheap buy for them for a millionaire, and then they can build the club up, and they know that they're valuable assets because the money in the Premiership is astronomical at the moment.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's the bubbles burst. I would have thought a few years ago that it might have, but I think with the American investment now and the American interest in it, I think with the World Cup going to the United States in 2026 as well,
I
can see that, the American interest, and I think soccer will become bigger in America, and as we know, it's the world's biggest superpower.
The TV money is, and it's
mainly driven internationally now, whereas it was Sky and it was
sorry. And I know I spoke to you about this before, but then what the Americans are looking at is an investment in education and football. That's the big thing now. There was a school in Florida sold for massive money, like billions. And what happens is the amalgamated athletes in a school, and it was just all the American sports, soccer, American football. They done this with an education program, and it sold for billions. And when you sell something for billions, it makes when you build it up from millions to billions, it makes massive in the business world, makes massive waves. So then, like I said, Michelin have done it. There's other clubs that are doing it. I spoke to you about the Shamrock Rovers. We're trying to do it with the transition year project. We've got 32 players now that are full time from 15 all the way through to 17, which is massive. 7 doing leaving cert, 6 doing in 5th year, and then we have another. The rest of them are coming into the transition year project next year. But that adds value to your football club. So it's again that education with the program, and if the Premiership are doing it as a business, it makes massive money, and that's where I agree with you. I thought this is going to hit a skid here, but no, the money that's been flooded in from the TV into the Premiership is ridiculous.
It is the global league now. People are, what about the Super League? This is the Super League.
And so Liverpool missing out on the Champions League. So last year in the final, I think they got something between 112 and 120 million from the Champions League from all those games, which is crazy, isn't it? But John, am I right in thinking that if you can get 14, is it foreign owners, and then you can start to mess around with the Premier League?
Yeah, well, it's 14 is the you got to have 14 votes to make any big decisions. Yeah.
And so you could have first game of the season next season. You might all be playing in wherever. Well, Mexico,
New York, all
those.
Well, it was Richard Scudamore's idea, wasn't it, a decade ago, the 39th game? And you can see with the NFL that the NFL is going to come to Croke Park in the next few years, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's that big an issue.
It depends how many games you have to go and play, though.
See, that's where I'd be a little bit. Again, talking about the fan experience, like but
what does Manchester City mean anymore? Manchester City might as well be in Fiji.
I get that. Like, but if you're saying like the clubs that mean a lot to their communities, I've been to a load of grounds in England where they just pour out of the streets into watching Leeds. We mentioned Liverpool, Everton, similar. Yeah. You take one of their games away from them when they live for that all weekend, and you move that to Sydney or New York, and you're like, come on. And I get that you're fans all over the world and it's a global sport, but these clubs were founded in the community, and that's where that game should stay.
And I do think there would be a revolt. I think it'd also be a populist thing for the British government. They wouldn't allow it. Barcelona have now gone in front 3-2 against Wolfsburg in the Women's Champions League final. Just before we go to the break, there was a documentary on Kevin Moore on our TV here during the week, Laura, kind of celebrating his career, not only as an international soccer player and a top player for Manchester United, but also his Gaelic football career. Did you play with Kevin a lot, especially in the early 80s, to say, for Ireland, did you?
Yeah. Great lad, Kevin. And I think, I mean, just all those injuries he got because, you know, I'm presuming he didn't really start playing football until quite late, did he?
Yeah, in his early 20s.
He was absolutely, he left nothing out there. Absolutely. And he was, if anything, he was too fearless. I just remember, I can't remember the game, you might know, where he was carried off on the stretcher and he was waving to the Stretford end or something.
Yeah, that's right. That was in the documentary. Yeah, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, but a fab lad, absolutely. You know, in terms of like get the job done. I mean, his partnership with Mick McCarthy, a bit with Dave O'Leary. I think I played alongside him a couple of times as well, and he was just absolutely rock solid. By the way, an intelligent boy as well.
Yeah.
Was he small? He mentioned in the documentary, Lauro, that Ferguson let him go and said he wanted a taller centre back. And somebody a bit younger. Now, he was a bit annoyed because Ferguson then goes and signs a centre-back that was the same size as him and the same age as him. So he was a little bit, you could tell he was a bit, well, you probably didn't give me the most truth, your truth there, but I always found him really aggressive. When I was at they showed his testimonial game in '94. I remember being at it as a kid, going to it, because obviously Moran was part of that era that you grew up watching, but he looked like he had a leap on him rather than being maybe tall and presence-wise. Like,
no, he did. Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, an interesting little story was he caught Dalglish, caught Kenny in the, well, he broke his jaw, didn't he? And Kenny always had this thing that maybe he'd done it on purpose. And I think when Kenny got fit, he actually just went into Kevin and hurt him. But then, as football can only do, Kenny, he rang me one day and he said, Kevin Moran, it was at Blackburn.
That's right.
I said, Kevin Moran. And I just went all day long. Absolutely, all day long, especially in the Championship. And I said, you'll never regret it. And he took him, and they became best of buddies in the end. But and he just said, it wasn't just the fact he was a top player. He was brilliant in the dressing room.
And Manchester City we thought it was a third goal for Gundogan, a hat-trick, but it's been ruled out. But City are turning the screw here. It doesn't seem, don't seem to have had that many chances.
They're trying to press United at times, and they're getting caught, and then it's opening up midfield and De Bruyne but Gundogan's offside from a cutback after Haaland has the shot.
City 2, Manchester United 1. This is Off the Ball Saturday. Mark Lawrenson and Graham Gartland watching the FA Cup final, and we're back after this break.
Off the Ball on News Talk. Screen Time with John Fardy.
As Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse swings into the cinema this weekend on Screen Time, I talked to Oscar winner Daniel Kaluuya about voicing the Spider-Punk. Closer to home, I talked to director Joe Lee about his documentary 406 Days. Plus, I talked to the director of Reality, the movie about the whistleblower who found evidence of Russian interference in the US 2016 election.
Screen Time with John Fardy.
Listen and subscribe to the podcast now, or tune in this evening from 6.
News Talk. Conversation that counts.
InsureMyVan.ie.
Hi, I'm Ken Doherty. For all van drivers and business owners, InsureMyVan.ie is Ireland's low-cost van and commercial insurance specialist. For high-quality van and all commercial insurances, call InsureMyVan.ie.
City Financial Marketing Group Limited, trading as InsureMyVan.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
You know when a customer says hello and you can't remember if it's Pat's brother, Pat's cousin, or Pat's butcher, and they're looking at you waiting to pay and waiting for you to say their name after all that work setting up your own business, to be standing there wishing the ground would swallow you up. Well, Square can't help you there, but we can help with taking payments, checking your inventory, invoicing, and the rest. Square, everything your business needs. Almost.
Square is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
At Cupra, we believe in the power of impulse. Cupra Born's eBoost function allows you to tap exhilarating performance on instinct. But Cupra also believes in looking after our tribe. So when you order a Cupra Born before June 30th, we will add €2,000 on top of your €5,000 SEAI government grant. That's a €7,000 boost towards your new Cupra Born. So follow your impulse. Search Cupra Official. Terms and conditions apply.
Harvey Norman are your outdoor furniture specialists. This bank holiday weekend, get €300 in Harvey Norman gift cards when you spend over €1,500 on sofas, dining furniture and homewares. With 4-piece lounge sets like the Corfu, including sofa, 2 armchairs and coffee table for just $599. 6-piece lounge sets like the Palmer from just $799. And sun lounges from €99. Shop these outdoor furniture deals and so much more in store or online at Harvey Norman, your outdoor furniture specialists.
Go! News Exchange, the global news conference, is coming to Dublin on June 19th and 20th. Speakers include Miriam O'Callaghan and David McCullough, the BBC's Lise Doucette and Laura Koonsberg. War reporter John Sweeney on Ukraine and CNN's John King join them to discuss the challenges faced by journalism in 2023. War, fake news and the big social and political issues. Limited discount tickets available now. Enter the code RAD23 at newsexchange.org. That's RAD23 at newsexchange.org.
A Daft Advantage ad is the best way for you to sell your home in Ireland. By putting your ad at the top of search results with bigger photos, you guarantee unbeatable visibility, attract more buyers and get the best price for your home. Ask your estate agent for a Daft Advantage ad today.
Right now, B&Q Club members get 3 for 2 on Dulux and Cuprinol paint. That's 3 for 2 on sprucing up your space, indoors and out. Not a member? Join today. Save today. Sign up in store or at DIY.ie. Exclusive to B&Q Club and Trade Point members. Exclusions and terms and conditions apply. See DIY.ie. Ends 5th of June.
Witness greatness live from the players you love with Sky Sports from Virgin Media. Virgin Media customers get an exclusive front row seat to unmissable moments by adding Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports for just €30 a month for 6 months. That's better than half price. Be part of every game with Virgin Media. It's playtime.
6-month offer, €74 a month after offer. T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
And you're welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with Graham Gartland, the former League of Ireland and FA Cup winner and current under-15s coach of Shamrock Rovers in studio. Mark Lawrenson, the former FA Cup winner with Liverpool, is on the line as well, watching the FA Cup final. Manchester City 2, Manchester United 1. Gundogan scoring twice for City with a penalty from Fernandes in the first half. Phil Foden is on for De Bruyne. Garnacho had a chance there for United, but it went wide of the post. Ange Postecoglou is going to hopefully lead Celtic for their supporters to the treble against Inverness at 5:30 at the kick-off time there today. What do you think of Ange? I mean, you played in Scotland, Graham.
Do you know what? When he first got the job, there was a lot of people scoffing at him in Scotland. I know Celtic had gone really all out for Eddie Howe. They were waiting for him. They agreed to everything that Eddie Howe had asked. They kept pushing. Eddie Howe kept dragging it out, and Celtic were getting a lot of stick in Scotland at the time for not making a decision and leaving it go too long. And then they brought in Ange, and a lot of people scoffed and said he won't see out the end of the season. A lot of pundits on Sky Scotland at the time, Boyd in particular, was saying he won't see out the end of the season. And he's done an unbelievable job, and he's done it nearly with all the backroom staff that Lennon had left. Kennedy, Strachan's son is there as well, Gavin, I think, and then he brought in Harry Kewell. Would have been one of the only ones, but his recruitment has been unbelievable. He's brought a lot of lads from the Australian League, a lot of Japanese players. I think there's 5 or 6 at this stage. But the way he plays with inverted fullbacks at times, like similar to what Arsenal do. But the runners from the inside left and the inside right channels are fantastic, and he plays a lovely brand of football. Now, it's similar to what we said about Rodgers. You're going to Scotland and you have the biggest budget. You know, you generally attract the best players. What he's done is he hasn't gone for main name players. He's gone for these players that not many people have heard of, and he's made them better. Do I see it working at Spurs? I don't know. I agree with what you said. I don't know whoever manages Spurs. I don't know if they'll succeed, because I don't know if they're allowed. I don't know if they facilitate the managers that they have in charge to allow them to be successful there. If they're able to spend money, if they're able to recruit the players that they'd like. Spurs Spurs should be able to recruit a lot better players than they do because of their location. A lot of top players go to London because of the location at times, and Spurs should be able to do it. So financially, if they're not getting rewarded for going there, they will get the rewards from other clubs, so you'd be Chelsea and Arsenal. So I don't know if it's a good fit for actually anybody, but Ange's done an unbelievable job at Celtic.
Manchester City 2, Manchester United 1. What are you feeling about the cup final now? Are the City going to see it out, Laura?
I think so, although United are most definitely pushing. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. They've won it. Garnacho, I thought he'd scored actually for a split second. This curled one the wrong side of the post, but it's become very, very open. And it's like 10 minutes plus other time, probably another 15 minutes for United to try and nick a goal back. I still see another goal in this game. Yeah.
Would you would you watch Preston in the FA Cup when you were younger? Then Loro, they got the cup finals, didn't he? Quite a lot.
1964.
Well, you were a ball boy at that as well, were you?
I was, yeah. I didn't go. I was only 7. Alan Kelly was in goals.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, his son went on to play for Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah. Both his sons were goalkeepers, weren't they?
Very good.
Howard Kendall played in that game, didn't he, Laura?
Howard Kendall played. Howard Kendall, and remember John Sissons, West Ham. I think Howard Kendall it was either Howard Kendall or John Sissons was the youngest ever cup final player in 1964.
Right.
Preston were twice in front. They were second division, and West Ham were Division 1. And West Ham ended up winning 3-2, but not that I remember anything about it, obviously.
OK, we got to interrupt you there, Laura. We're going to go down to Porky Queeve because Kerry have won just, James O'Donoghue.
Yeah, they won 114 to 15 points in the end. Very strange game. The first 20 minutes was manic. The next 15 of the first half, the heat seemed to sap the players. The same in the second half. The first 20 minutes was manic, and the last 10 or 15 minutes then it was kind of error-ridden, and it was a little bit slower pace. But there is no doubt about it that this game hinged on a penalty decision. The Cork can certainly feel aggrieved about. It was Powter who gave it away after giving away the ball in his own half. Chased back, tried to defend and correct his own mistake, and he took Paul Ganey down just outside the penalty area with a couple of other Cork defenders coming back to help. Goff decided, along with his umpires, that he was through on goal and it was a definite goal scoring opportunity. That's where the debate will come. But he awarded a penalty and a black card, so a complete double whammy on Cork to lose Powter, probably their best player, and give away a penalty. Clifford slotted, sent the goalkeeper the wrong way and put it low across his body into the corner, and that really was, it just deflated the balloon the Cork were after pumping up for themselves, because they really came out of half time with great gusto, and after that Kerry just managed to see it out. I would say that if Cork can somehow get more shooters on the field, they will be a serious team soon, but their kicking at the post was so poor in the first half. It was only in the second half when they brought on Sherlock, who swung over one absolute beaut, along with Owen Sweeney, who threw over 2 lovely points. And the whole crowd, they were oohing and eyeing at these points. They haven't seen them in years. I was just thinking, like, Colin Corker used to be an unbelievable point kicker. Colin O'Neill, Kieran Sheehan, Daniel Goulding, Donnacha O'Connor, these fellas, they're used to seeing point kickers. They need to get these fellas back on the field, because with their running game, they need kickers. And if they had them on the field for longer, I think they would have come away even closer. It was only 2 points in it at the end, but a big one to get out the way for Kerry. They certainly could have lost that game, and Cork were unlucky not to take the win.
So Kerry still have work to do then, James?
Oh, definitely, 100%. Kerry aren't themselves. I don't know, is it a bit of flatness, or they just don't look to be playing at any sort of pace or intensity for long spells. They fell asleep in the second half of the first half, and again for 10 minutes in the second half at the start. So they're definitely not playing well. They're relying on Clifford. He got another 1-5 today. I mean, he wasn't in the game all game. He just came up and finished the chances. Shawnee probably went a bit quiet in the second half along with Paddy Clifford, and when those fellas do go quiet, they find it hard to kind of maintain their enthusiasm and their go forward balls. So definitely a lot to work on for Kerry. They won't be delighted with the performance, but look, they're back at it. They got the win under the belt, and once they beat Louth, they'll be in the second place if Mayo beat Cork.
And briefly for Cork must feel, after a 12-point defeat last year in Munster, that this is a really good couple of weeks for them after the Louth win.
this gap is definitely getting closer, and the crowd could sense it today. That's why every time Cork got any bit of a break on their man, the crowd were really giving it to them. Let's go for it, and it did give a bit of belief to the Cork lads. I thought they played well, and the gap is definitely shortening. But that said, you can only turn up and give another crowd a game so many times. You have to beat them eventually. You can't just keep saying, yeah, look, we gave them a good game, we're getting there. There's going to have to be a time when Cork really do turn the screw and get the win. I mean, there was a stage today, there was 2 points in it, the ball went into the square and it was just scrambled out by Kerry, so it could, and that happened in 2020 in the COVID game in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, where Kerry were 2 points up and the ball went in long into the square and Cork managed to get a goal. So that could have happened again today. Like, Cork did have a chance to win this game, but they're still just a little bit off, and I think it's in their shooting. I think that's one area that they can go away and say, let's practice shooting from maybe 35-40 yards and we'll get our scores up and we'll be right in the reckoning then.
James O'Donoghue, will hear more thoughts from you with Tommy Rooney on our digital channels later, and also on the Football Pod. Thank you so much from Páirc Uí Chaoimh this afternoon. Elsewhere in Gaelic games, we have Tailteann Cup round 3 results. Meath 111, Down 19, Tipperary 17 points, Waterford 113, Cavan 225, Offaly 29, and Laois 117, London 214. In the Laurie Marr Cup final, Monaghan beat Lancashire 322 to 320. In the Nicky Rackard Cup final, it ended Donegal 312, Wicklow 120. So a win for Wicklow there. In Camogie, results Down 211, Clare 119 in Group 1. Group 3, Antrim 115, Limerick 14 points. Shane Lowry 400 through 11, up to 3 under for the tournament, in a tie for 13th of the Memorial Tournament on round 3. Seamus Power 1 over par after 4, back to even. Rory McIlroy tees off in a short while, so McIlroy brought his tally to 4 under par yesterday, and he is in a tie for 7th, 4 shots behind the leader Justin Suh. Tom McKibben in a tie for the lead with 5 other players going into the final round of the European Open in Hamburg, bidding for a first European Tour title. 6 under par is the County Down golfer. Ireland have lost the cricket. So this was against England today. So Ireland, a disappointing defeat. But to be fair to them, after the first innings, they really did come back to do well. But England win by 10 wickets. Ireland gave them 11 runs to chase. Aidan O'Brien won the Epsom Derby with Augusta Rodin. A 9-2 shot ridden by Ryan Moore. A 9th Epsom Derby for Aidan O'Brien. It is Barcelona 3, Wolfsburg 2 now in the Women's Champions League final. Bohemians 0, Shamrock Rovers 0, a result from the Women's Premier Division. Galway United 0, Shelbourne 2, also a result from Eamon DC Park. Laura, Man City are hanging on 2-1 up against Man United.
Yeah, Ganaccio's come on for Manchester United with McTominay, and they're really pushing City back, but they haven't really had an outstanding chance as yet, John. And City just left Haaland up front trying to get the ball up to him for him to score a goal basically on his own most of the time. He's the only City player in Manchester United's half.
They're not playing out anymore from the goalkeeper. They're going very direct. That's the difference, probably, what Haaland, that's the other option that Haaland does give City at the moment, that if a team is pressing so high, the keeper can just go straight into him.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have Kieran Boyle in touch on Twitter, loving the show. Thank you, Kieran, listening from Florida. Well, you got Laura Wan. Can you ask him if you remember doing a football camp at Belfield, UCD, in the summer of 1988? I remember it fondly. He taught us how to take penalties.
Oh, right. Oh, well, I can't remember. I hope I got paid.
Students, you're taking money off students out in UCD, Laura. Hope you're happy.
Come on, Graham, come on.
Yeah. We have Eric Cantona singing now, I believe. He's on a singing tour. He's coming to Dublin later this year. So that's did you ever think of doing anything else apart from punditry, Laura, when you finished?
No. Why would you?
Yeah, well, if you were absolutely
stupid footballer.
You coached for a while, didn't you? You went in at Newcastle, was it, with Dalglish and Terry McDermott?
I managed Oxford.
Yeah.
Right.
I was 30.
Yeah.
You were 30.
Yeah, we've heard the story. We've heard the story.
Well, what?
Yeah,
and how come when you went back in as a defensive coach with Newcastle, wasn't it?
Yeah, and very quickly, so Kevin Keegan just went, come on up and see, a bloody, had a chat, and he said, yeah, I want you as defensive coach. So I went, yeah, okay. But I never did a session until the day after Kevin left. And basically, he said to me straight away, he said, take 2 or 3 months, have a look at the players and everything. I was joining in training and all sorts. I was the fittest I've ever been. But he left. He fell out with the board. and he left. And Arthur Cox was, if you remember, Arthur Cox was always with him everywhere, along with Terry McDermott. And he, my very first day was the day after Kevin left. We actually did some defensive work that day. But that was, I think, after that, Kenny came in. And he said, "What have you been doing?" I said, "I've been doing absolutely nothing. I've taken 2 sessions and I'm the fittest I've ever been." And I left because I got offered the job with Match of the Day then.
Yeah, very good. And you were there for many FA Cup finals. You did. I'm sure you did a few FA Cup finals with the late Motti, did you, Lauro?
Yes. Yeah. What a man. Honestly, he took a lot of getting to the commentary position, as it were, not with me, with other people around him, and he was sort of quite difficult, but only because, John, he had to get it absolutely 100% right. And people said, "Oh, he commentates loads of stats and all those kind of things." In all the time I've been with him, Euro finals, World Cup finals, never ever made a mistake, and always seemed to have a line. And sometimes with some of them nowadays, they write down this line at the end that they're going to repeat.
Yeah.
He was never like that. It was just however the game had gone, and you suddenly see him start writing near the end, and he then made his mind up what he was going to say, never before the match. And it was a good travelling companion as well. He loved a beer.
Do you think the FA Cup is making a comeback with obviously the Manchester derby as a final? Do you think it's becoming more? Is it only more prevalent now because it's part of a treble that City are chasing, or do you think? It's
It's the third trophy, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're going Champions League and winning the league, it's a third trophy. Whereas, of course, it used to be the second.
Yeah. Briefly, Graham. Rovers back on top, win over Dundalk last night.
Yeah, I done the game. Yeah, it was probably easy in the end for Rovers. I didn't think Dundalk challenged them at all. Rovers played at an okay tempo and then upped the tempo actually a little bit to score the goals. And then Rovers had another player sent off. It was the correct decision from the referee. It was a last man tackle, just outside the box. No covering defender. And then when they went down to 10 men. Dundalk just probably didn't do enough in the game at all, and then Rovers actually looked more dangerous with 10 men because Dundalk thought we could be a little bit more open, but they weren't playing well enough, and they didn't play with an intensity about them. And it wasn't that they didn't have an intensity; they lacked quality as well in the final third. So Rovers have gone back on top. There they drew as well to Shelbourne at home, and
Bohemians won.
Cork had a great result against Drogheda, but. Yeah, listen, it was a good weekend for Rovers with all the stuff that Stephen had gone through during the week.
Yeah, and he spoke to Nathan about that as well. Manchester United trying to attack, but they've headed the ball over the bar, and we're into stoppage time now. It looks like Manchester City are going to win the FA Cup and the double in England. Manchester City 2, Manchester United 1. Ilkay Gundogan with 2 goals, Bruno Fernandes with 1 for United. Lauro, brilliant stuff as always. Thank you.
Pleasure. Cheers, Graham.
Thanks, Lauro.
Mark.
Pleasure co-hosting today. Thank you.
Yeah, make sure you get paid.
I know, yeah.
Mark Lawrenson and Graham, thank you.
Thanks very much, JD.
Graham Gartland, Mark Lawrenson there on Football Saturday. We've got to leave it there. Don't forget, we're back tomorrow 1 to 7 here on News Talk with Kathleen McNamee and Nathan Murphy presenting. So we got Gaelic football reports and reaction from the All-Ireland series with Shane Curran and Colin Boyle. Also going to bring you the Sunday papers with Jerry Thornley and Orla McElroy. Keith Tracy, former Premier League player, will review the FA Cup final, which City are about to win, it seems, and the football season. We'll also get a recap of the rugby campaign with Rob Carney and Emer Considine. So be sure to tune in to Kathleen and Nathan tomorrow. If you missed any of OTB Football Saturday with Mark Lawrenson and Graham Gartland, or our Gaelic football conversation with Ger Brennan, Finian Hanley and Conleth Gilligan, you can get the podcast on the Off the Ball section of the Go Loud network, or be sure to listen back wherever you get your pods. We're into about 90 seconds to go in the cup final. It is Manchester City 2, Manchester United 1. Thank you so much for listening to us this afternoon on your radio across the country here on News Talk. Enjoy the ice creams and the beach, folks. We'll speak tomorrow at 1. Bye-bye.